Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it is me, Sacred G. Welcome back. Today, it is the day we are going to actually react, react to the second half of this 3 hour long video. And yes, I remember where we left off. He was talking about the music of the game, and which my response is the same. It's a destroyed world. I don't know why he would want new tracks in the game. What the fuck? Like, I don't know how the hell you can totally critique a game, but totally miss the theme of the game, which is a destroyed world. Resources are really not as they used to be. you know? Anywho, that's where we left off. I'm just kind of going over where I last stopped, so without further ado, here we go. And he also is harping on the game not being a proper RPG, which... it's just getting tired and old at this point, so let's go. And I did get a copyright strike, actually, on the last video. I kind of thought I would. So, anywho, let's do this.
The money to buy a license to use any number of songs they want. And I know
yeah, but this is the thing. You're saying you're not understanding the world that your character is in. Like, really? You really think that in a world that was nuked to shit, that there would be a wide variety of songs and holotapes? No! As a matter of fact, I personally think it's a good choice to keep the same songs to keep the theme of the game alive. It would make no sense if they had a whole Spotify list of fucking 60s themes or 50s music. Honestly, what a ridiculous take.
That there are hundreds of songs they could have chosen from any number of artists.
This is just dumb, okay? I don't care about this. It's the theme of the game. It makes sense there would be less songs, or, those songs were not found. And honestly, the way they did it in Fallout 4, actually thinking, this is the thing, is that the only new song I believe they did add, I think it might have been a couple, I'm really not that certain, but I know that they didn't add very many new songs because a lot of the songs from the radio, from Diamond City Radio, are from Fallout 3. I know that for a fact. I've listened to the radio in Fallout 3. The Wanderer is the most notable new one, and that actually can read as if, Travis just happened to find it, and, he's a pussy in the game, so and also, dude... the fucking DJ is a coward, or he's portrayed as a very insecure person who you help him build confidence up, which is, hence the name of the quest, Confidence Man. Like, there's a lot of possibilities here. Like, dude, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm gonna stick mainly with that the world's destroyed and or holotapes are just lost and people tend to find them and trade them in for caps or something. I don't know.
Just from around the 1950s and early 60s, but they just didn't. It's kind of boring because of that.
Well, good for you.
Once again, this is...
I don't know how it would make any lore or world sense to have a Spotify list of musical tracks.
Issue I have a suggestion for rather than a complaint towards. I'm not against the idea of Fallout 3 or New Vegas music being in Fallout 4, not at all, I just don't want it to represent 1/3 of the soundtrack. What they should have done was have the legacy songs be collectibles you could find in the world in the form of records or holotapes or something. You could take...
records, really? They use holotapes, buddy. Or holotapes, I guess, whatever. Ignore that.
Radio, and if you
That's irrelevant.
He'll add them to the song list.
Oh, damn it.
This makes it so not only is the old music included in the game, but it's also optional for people who would rather stick to just the new soundtrack and not turn in the old music. And it adds another collectible item to the game, which is something Bethesda is not against having in Fallout 4 above all of their other games. The more problematic detail I've noticed about Fallout 4's soundtrack is how a lot of songs seem to have something to do with either the end of the world or nukes or radiation or a method of delivering nukes or various other different things that are, associated with certain very obvious details about this franchise.
Yeah, because isn't Fallout a parody? I've heard people say this game's a satire. So a little, little subtlety, a little subtle humor, isn't really not weird for the Fallout franchise at all. I don't
A lot
know,
of the
dude.
songs don't have anything to do with these various things, like 60-Minute Men or Happy Times, but a lot of the songs seem to be required to, in some way, involve one of the previously listed ideas. For example, Rocket 69, Uranium Fever,
Yeah.
Crawl Out Through the Fallout, Atom Bomb, Baby, etc.,
You could
etc.
make that criticism to the songs themselves too. You could say, "Oh, well, these songs are made during the nuclear," because I don't, yeah, because that was the nuclear era. Okay.
You get the point. The soundtrack to Fallout 4 seems, because of this, incredibly artificial. It's as if the
Yeah,
only thing
that's
people
fair. I'll give them that. It does. It can make it seem
made music
artificial
about.
because it's directly tied to the events or what happened to the world in the game. And yeah, fair point or fair take. If you do think that that is annoying and it makes the game feel less serious, or fair enough. That actually sounds annoying. I don't usually listen to the radio very often in any of these games,
Before
so
the war were things involved with the war. It doesn't seem like the soundtrack to an actual civilization of people pre-war, and instead seems like the soundtrack filtered by a bunch of guys in a business meeting who looked at Fallout for about 30 minutes and thought the most important thing about it was that the Great War happened, and decided that a lot of the songs needed to be about that. It makes it seem like everyone before the war only cared about making political songs, when that's just not the case. People do make political songs, and I'm not against the inclusion of songs that mention atom bombs and the end of the world or anything like that. Not at all. But I am against a soundtrack that is dominated by either them or Fallout 3 songs. Let me contrast this with Fallout New Vegas' soundtrack, which was
okay.
made mostly
I'm
of
trying to figure out when is he gonna explain why that's all bad.
pop songs
Well,
about
no, he already did. He already did. He said it
love,
makes it feel, the way it makes him feel.
which are the most popular kinds of popular songs. Check the top 40 if you don't believe me. And country songs, which were included because New Vegas takes place in an area where country is a more generally popular genre.
Then that's the same critique. It's music on the theme of the game.
That game's soundtrack isn't made up
It's
halfway
the same
of songs
thing,
about poker
except
or
for the
Las
songs are not about destruction. It's about heartbreak.
Vegas. Most of them were about people breaking up or
Yeah.
wanting to return to their hometown, all in the stylings of songs that would have been popular with people from Nevada in 2077. It makes the old world seem like an actual old world, with
yeah,
people
okay,
and
that's
trends
fair.
that dictate the most successful music.
I will
Fallout
say,
3 did this very well too.
like, I do occasionally listen to the radios, and, they have good tracks. They have some kick-ass tracks. I actually have a few of New Vegas's radio songs downloaded on my phone, actually. Because they're kick-ass. I like them. They fit the game. They fit the game for damn well, in my opinion. Fallout 4, they do too. Like, music is subjective. Like, if you don't like a huge theme of destruction, well, there's a huge theme of fucking heartbreak and pretty much the Vegas life in the radio for Fallout New Vegas, pretty much. It's Western themed. It's country. It's country. It's Western, dude.
Most of the songs in that game are pop singles and love songs.
I wish they transferred, if anything, the criticism I would say is they should have transferred, they should have transferred the tracks on the radio for, either Radio New Vegas or the Mojave radio over to Fallout 4. So it looks like, that the radio signal from New Vegas is, that'd be cool. But the problem is that we don't know what happened at all in Vegas, or in New Vegas whatsoever.
which are very popular in cities like Washington,
So it makes sense for them not to include that.
D.C. Imagine if either of these games had soundtracks composed the way Fallout 4's is. New Vegas radio would be half about bombs and half about getting shot in the face, and Fallout 3's radio would be half songs about the White House and half songs about bombs. Or like
Yeah.
finding your dad or something, I don't know. It just doesn't
Okay.
feel believable at all. It feels like the developers needed the music to constantly be self-referential so that no one would forget that they were playing a Fallout game, that Fallout games take place in a post-nuclear apocalyptic world. Again, not
What are you trying to say? oh, people are gonna forget they're playing. Like, do you forget you're playing a video game? Dude, that's like in the back of our minds. We all know what we're doing. We all know what game we're playing. You know? We're all aware of
people
that.
do make political songs
Okay.
after all, and even I have some up my own sleeve, but I don't think that the soundtrack was constructed by people who cared about the world building of Fallout as much as they cared
That's a bit of a stretch, but go at it.
about making sure everyone is clear on the fact that Fallout's world isn't all that pristine. And I actually did the math, by the way. 55% of the songs in Fallout 4 are either about bombs or the end of the world or whatever, or are from Fallout 3. Or are both, like Civilization and I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire.
I would say a good chunk of Fallout 4 songs are in Fallout 3. A good chunk. So he's
I've
right
said it
there.
before, and I will say it again. First
But
impressions
it's not bad.
matter.
This
and
is
the
just subjective, man. I guess he doesn't like those songs. Like, those being reused really isn't the problem. It's an optional feature. If anything, you could just listen to the OST. You know, I don't know what to tell you.
The impression I got from Diamond City Radio was that the world of Fallout was one where everyone
Like, the music isn't really the focus of the game.
unanimously agreed that half of all the songs needed to be about the same thing, like some kind of robotic hive mind. Instead of a world where many different artists make many different songs with many different themes and ideas injected into them.
Sure.
There is one thing I really do like about the Fallout 4 radio, though. One thing that I really, really like, and it's that it will play songs written specifically for the game that Bethesda made. These songs come from the perspective of a post-war musician, and it's nice to see that the people of the Wasteland are, in some way, progressing and inventing culture, and making...
And then you contradict that point you made about people not seeming to care. Okay, man. Alright.
their own new music instead of just repeating the old world songs for 2 centuries.
Dude, you literally just sat there and said, oh, they don't care about the world because, you know, the music's the same from the previous game pretty much, right? And now you're saying, from your own words, it's really cool that, you know, they had innovation with it when it came to, you know, in-game music, you know, that music Bethesda made. You can hear Magnolia songs on the radio sometimes. Yeah. I'm sorry to tell you, but that's a contradiction. That's a sign of care. They didn't do that in fucking New Vegas, at least that I remember. Correct me if I'm wrong.
New Vegas only had one custom
I'm pretty sure I am. I think there is a couple of in-game songs. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Actually, I'm not quite... I haven't played New Vegas in a while. Actually, I played it a couple weeks ago, but I haven't gotten into the radio aspect. Just, yeah, whatever.
song sung by the Drifter, which I also think was a very good step in the right direction, and Fallout 4 took the next step and has 5. And
Hold on, what did he say? I'm so sorry.
games had soundtracks composed the way Fallout 4's is. New Vegas radio would be half about bombs and half about getting shot in the face, and Fallout 3's radio would be half songs about the White House and half songs about bombs. Or like finding your dad or something, I don't know. It just doesn't feel believable at all. It feels like the developers needed the music to constantly be self-referential so that no one would forget that they were playing a Fallout game, and that Fallout games take place in a
And then, yeah, this ended up being a contradiction, so you spent a whole time amping this up to contradict it.
nuclear apocalyptic world. Again, not existing in these
Like,
games.
dude, if you're going to later say that an NPC song, like an OC from Bethesda, right, or OS, an original song from Bethesda, since, you know, hence Magnolia's music can be heard on the radio sometimes, guess what, dude? That means they fucking care. And that's more than I think New Vegas did. Again, correct me if I'm wrong.
People do make political songs after all, and even I have some up my own sleeve, but I don't think that the soundtrack was constructed by people who cared about the world building of Fallout as much as they cared about making sure everyone is clear on the fact that Fallout's world isn't all that pristine. And I actually did the math, by the way. 55% of the songs in Fallout 4 are either about bombs or the end of the world or whatever, or are from Fallout 3. Or are both, like Civilization and I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire.
Cool.
I've said it before, and I will say it again. First
Sure.
impressions matter, and the first impression I got from Diamond City Radio was that the world of Fallout was one where everyone unanimously agreed that half of all the songs needed to be about the same thing, like some kind of robotic hive mind.
You just explained New Vegas did it and then harped on Fallout 4 for doing it. You literally did. You said half the songs in New Vegas are about either you getting shot in the face or whatever. It's what he's. Oh no, I think he did say. Let's go. We're gonna have to go back again.
A Fallout game, that Fallout games take place in a post-nuclear apocalyptic world. Again, not existing in these games, people do make political songs, check the top 40 if you don't believe me, and country songs, which were included because New Vegas takes place in an area where country is a more generally popular genre. That game's soundtrack isn't made up halfway of songs about poker or Las Vegas. Most of them were about people breaking up or wanting to return to their hometown, all in the stylings
Yeah,
of songs that
okay,
would have been popular with people from Nevada
okay.
in 2077. It makes the old world seem like an actual old world, with people and trends that dictate the most successful music. Fallout 3 did this very well too. Most of the songs in that game are pop singles and love songs which are very popular in cities like Washington, D.C. Imagine if either of these games had soundtracks composed the way Fallout 4's is. New Vegas radio would be half about bombs and half about getting shot in the face, and Fallout 3's radio would be half songs about the White House and
I was
half songs
wrong.
about
I
bombs.
fucked up. That's my bad.
Or like finding your
So
dick.
yeah, he was saying imagine if New Vegas had that. Okay. Well, I mean, even at that, New Vegas still has a theme with the fucking radio, dude. It's still country. It's pretty much, oh, you're in the Wild West, pretty much. Even if it's 50s country, 60s country, it doesn't matter. It's country. It's capturing the theme of the game. Yeah. So.
Ad or something, I don't know. It just doesn't feel believable at all. It feels like the developers needed the music to constantly be self-referential so that no one would forget that they were playing a Fallout game, and that Fallout games take place in a post-nuclear apocalyptic world. Again, not existing in these games, people do make political songs.
And it ends up being a contradiction because it said, it doesn't feel believable, but then you literally saying the fucking in-game, like the actual NPC line or songs are fine. What? Like, okay, how does that work?
Even I have some up my own sleeve, but I don't think that the soundtrack was constructed by people who cared about the world building of Fallout as much as they cared about making sure everyone is clear on the fact that Fallout's world isn't all that pristine.
Sure.
And I actually did the math.
Like how New Vegas wants to hammer home that the game is in the country with, the country songs. Or not the country, but the desert, the West. It's the same thing. It's a theme.
The way. 55% of the songs in Fallout 4 are either about bombs or the end of the world or whatever, or are from Fallout 3. Or are both, like Civilization and I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire. I've said it before, and I will say it again. First impressions matter, and the first impression I got from Diamond City Radio was that the world of Fallout was one where everyone unanimously agreed that half of all the songs needed to be about the same thing, like some kind of robotic hive mind. Instead of a world where many different artists make many different songs with many different themes and ideas injected into them.
Okay, well, you're really not understanding the world of Fallout because all those things are pretty much gone. And it's probably really rare, and you'd be hella lucky to even stumble upon a holotape that is a fucking song to play on the radio. What? Dude, are you serious? You literally in the beginning said you've been a fan of these fucking games, and you don't seem to understand the world's that fucked that you're not going to have a Spotify playlist of 50 songs? Jesus.
There is one thing I really do like about the
Should have
Fallout
caught that the first time we went over this.
4 radio, though. One thing that I really, really like, and it's that it will play songs written specifically for the game that Bethesda made. These songs come from the perspective of a post-war musician, and it's nice to see that the people of the Wasteland are, in some way, progressing and inventing culture, and making their own new music instead of just repeating the old world songs for 2 centuries. New Vegas only had one custom song sung by the Drifter, which I also think was a very good step in the right direction, and Fallout 4
really one
took the next step and has 5. And I have nothing bad to say about them at all. It is just a good thing. Though, I kinda wish I could kill the person who sings them.
Days.
Oh my god. Fucking ad. Holy shit.
Dave, you showing up?
No, and it's going back to the essential NPCs.
We return to Valentine's office in Diamond City, and he has us answer some questions about our interaction with our assailants in Vault 111. We describe the attack, the kidnapping, and our attackers to him, and he gives us a lead on some guy named Kellogg. Kellogg has an apartment in town, and we find our way into his house and search it until we come across a hidden room. In his hidden room, we find some mementos of his, but it still doesn't tell us exactly where to go. Then our character, or Nick, suggests that we have Dogmeat sniff the cigars and track Kellogg. You know, Dogmeat, that character we have yet to interact with, but somehow now magically know, and that Nick also randomly happens to just know about too, despite
That's just an issue I've noticed with a lot of RPGs, dude. Like, you don't meet somebody, but they bring up a character, and then magically you know them. Dude, all the games have been like this. Like, there have been moments in even New Vegas where you apparently know a character's name when they never have said their name. How is this an issue when this has been a problem, like in Fallout 4, but it's not an issue? I don't know. Maybe he's going to bring it up. He's probably going to bring it up.
having never seen him.
I'm just saying that this is just an issue with the games in general. Like, you just know things that weren't told to you or you have no knowledge about, but apparently through dialogue options, you seem to know those things. Just an RPG flaw.
And now the dog is just being forced upon us in this quest line. Because fuck your internal
It's a huge flaw, too. Like, I can't believe that has never been fixed. And I think I don't know if that's the only instance where in Fallout 4 that happens. I haven't played Fallout 4 in a while either.
Your ability to maybe not interact with dog meat if you don't want to, because this is Fallout. And Fallout is more about dog meat than it is about player freedom. You're not allowed to not meet dog meat. Dog meat is important, okay? Dog meat is important to the story. You need to know dog meat. Don't you want to know dog meat? He was in Fallout 3. Look at dog meat. Fuck. I'll be honest. I forgot that this part of the game even happened. So I got a little bit steamed when I first saw it, again. And it really makes me want to start talking about how much freedom, especially in comparison to the rest of the series, Fallout 4 gives its players.
Oh my god, here we go. This is my favorite part of these critiques.
But I can't. Not quite yet. I have to save that for later, because it'll be more appreciable.
Oh, well, thanks for teasing me there.
More appropriate, and not as unfair to talk about that later, because of events that will be happening shortly.
I hate it when YouTubers do this, dude. I hate it when these long-form critiques are like, oh, I'm gonna bring up this huge point, but we'll talk about it later. And I don't even know if he's going to do that. I don't know. And again, if what I heard was correct on how and why he stopped uploading, and it was because somebody critiqued him, I can't take this seriously. I'm just going to be straight up honest. Like, he has some good points, and I'm being as fair as I can. A lot of this does kind of seem hateful. You know, like, oh, I'm really mad at the fact that you know a character who you've never met before, but this is the thing, New Vegas also pulled the same shit. There's literally, in the town of Good Springs, you can ask about Joe Cobb before Trudy even says anything. It's nonsensical. It's immersion breaking, and you avoid dialogue options like that, at least if you really want to roleplay. The fact he's not even so far bringing that up in the other games is beyond me. So.
I will, however, talk about smaller topics, very appropriate ones for this immediate moment. Fallout 4's internal consistency and essential characters in Fallout.
Okay.
Let's start with the latter of the two, because it's easier to explain. Now, take a second to reminisce here.
Oh
What is
God.
the one thing I've been stating is important in Fallout?
Does it bring up Fallout?
In case you're having trouble, it's the player freedom. This is what makes Fallout. Fallout could still be Fallout without Nuka-Cola or without power armor or 10mm SMGs, but Fallout is not Fallout if you can't tell people to go fuck themselves in 20 different ways. Both with
If that's literally what makes a Fallout to you without the Nuka-Cola, then that's just traditional RPG, man. I'm sorry. Most RPGs, you're able to tell people to fuck off. That's like the core, at least to me. Some RPGs aren't like that, but a lot of the ones where you make your own character, yeah, you can tell people no. Is he going to bring up the fact that the quests still get put in the log? I wonder.
And in conversation. In Fallout, the most basic test of how much freedom you have is to see how many people you can shoot. This is the most basic, baseline test. Can you take out your gun and just shoot that guy? It's an incredibly simple thing, but when it isn't in one of these games, it becomes a very important thing. The reason that it's important is because if you can't go around murdering everyone, then your game loses an immense amount of freedom, and it's frankly insulting to the player if you think
No, not really. I would say if they totally stripped away being able to even attack NPCs, and to the point where, you know, they don't react to you, they're heavily essential, and they're just bullet sponges that have no reaction, they don't even attack you, even if they're essential. That would be bad. That would be worthy of saying. But yeah, you can attack these people, and some of these people, I just don't understand why people think being able to murder every single person equals freedom. Not just, like, you can do that in GTA, or, I mean, you could do that in any other game that allows you to do it, even that are linear. Like, where you could fucking just kill people, your random NPCs, even in the confines of its story. I can't think of a few. I remember a couple of games that did allow you to do that. I don't remember the name of them, because it's been fucking forever. I think Assassin's Creed Yeah, you're able to. I mean, at least Fallout 4 doesn't have that where it resets you back. I
About
guess.
it. Unless the NPC
I mean,
is
I would say, I don't know, that's a little more
absolutely
insulting.
essential to complete the
If
game.
you're gonna bitch about that, I don't think this is that big of a deal.
I mean, of the highest importance, like Yes Man from Fallout New Vegas, then making them totally immune
Because
to death.
if you can't kill them, usually I've noticed, because this is something I noticed, and this is actually with Starfield, is that if you can't kill them after, or, before a quest happens and ends, they're, like, what I'm gonna say is they're usually killable after the quest. So, I don't know what to tell you. There's still quite a handful of killable NPCs, though, so just harping on this is a little redunculous. You can still play as a serial killer, okay?
It just
Calm
means
down.
that the developers don't trust that the player has enough intelligence to just not shoot the important people. This is especially so in Fallout 4, where many of the NPCs that
Yeah,
are
because to be honest, the game devs have a right to fucking, pardon me, have a right to, show off their story if they wanted to. Like, they made the game, they made the entertainment, and yeah, we paid for it. In a way, and unfortunately, you get what you paid for. So live with it, I
Central are
guess.
located in
It's
places
how
where
it's always been.
other NPCs could not kill them, like the mayor and the doctor in Diamond City, who would not be affected by any kind of radar attacks and do not have the excuse that they are essential because they don't want them to die to NPCs. They are only unkillable for the presumed purpose that they didn't want the player to not have a doctor. Instead of making it so you have the freedom to kill whoever you want and being able to live with the decisions you made by doing so, Fallout 4 makes sure that there are a vast number of people you can't destroy so that you don't fail quests or lose out on certain services. Even if you're completely
You can fail quests, I believe, by killing certain NPCs.
willing to
I'm
fail
pretty
those quests
sure.
or lose out on those services.
That's usually towards the end.
Because Fallout 4 thinks it's more important to make sure that the player has a doctor than to make sure that the player can choose to have a doctor. It's the antithesis of what makes Fallout good. The light to its shadow, the yin to its yang.
Okay.
Fallout, more than most games that exist, is about letting the player go around and shanking people with his spear, or letting them insult big tough slaver guards, or letting us spit on the Brotherhood of Steel, or letting us sneak into military bases, or whatever. And trusting that the player not only has the intelligence not to do the most obviously stupid things they can do, and to have the ability to own up to their own decisions when their push comes to shove. The trade-off for freedom is consequence, and essential NPCs allow for neither. There's no consequence besides the fact that they might get pissed off for eternity, and there's no freedom because they can't be permanently affected. The thing is, that thing I just said about NPCs being eternally hostile doesn't even happen in every case. I shot up Diamond City in God mode as a test. The doctor there and the mayor would default back to being passive with me once they regained their health bars, meaning that I had literally zero consequences for attacking them besides my wasted bullets and health. Cause it's not like this game has a karma system anymore, right? This kind of shit might fly in the Elder Scrolls, and frankly I don't care enough about the Elder Scrolls anymore to know if it does or not, but it should not be allowed to fly in Fallout. Just in case I haven't hammered it in enough, this series
Why?
is about choice making, and unkillable, known as essential in the game's engine's own terms, NPCs do
He's
not...
making it seem like, it's a huge deal. You can't kill important characters. Well, you still can kill. Like, if your main concern is you can't play as a fucking serial killer because you can't kill everybody, well, there are a handful of people you can, even quest-related. You could literally kill Father the minute you meet him. He is not essential, but you do get kicked out. That is one example, though. One example. I even think there are a few more. I mean, if you guys know... Like, I still haven't completed everything in Fallout 4. Like, I haven't even joined the fucking railroad, dude.
allow for that. If anything, they discourage you from making those kinds of choices because you know that'll end up as a fruitless effort in the end. A lot of people always try to raise the perceived value of essential NPCs by saying, yeah, but this way they can't accidentally get killed by NPCs or raiders or something, which is a point that almost doesn't even concern most Fallout games because 90% of the time all the major NPCs in any city are completely devoid of the rest of the game. They are completely detached and placed in their own little bubble where they can't be affected by things outside of the city. But for the few NPCs that could technically get attacked by raiders, here's two solutions I just came up with.
Okay.
And this is on the part of the player here. First off, perhaps you should take precautions to not accidentally kill people, you moron.
Your local flooring
Oh my
experts at
God,
Carpet
dude.
are honored to sponsor Heroes Day at the
Shut
fair.
the fuck
as a show
up.
Of our
Secondly, if something attacks them, which is very rare, like we've said, in Bethesda games and nearly impossible in Fallout 4, then try to protect them. If you fail, reload a save.
That sounds so fucking tedious, dude. I would not play that. Like, holy crap. Oh, yeah, it would, let's just make it more work for the player. Protect the NPC. People would have bitched about that, too. They would have said, oh, that's lazy game design. They just couldn't make them essential.
And try again. Oh, and it's not just doctors and mayors that carry the
It's just so fucking dumb. Like, that sounds so tedious and annoying. Like, that just sounds rage-inducing,
banner.
really,
We've
more
already
than
discussed
fun.
about how Preston Garvey's crew, all of them, can't be killed. But new in Fallout 4, neither can companions. Now, I already know the immediate rebuttal to this is going to be, but New Vegas had essential companions, and you love that game. And that's true. I do love New Vegas. And to some extent, New Vegas did have
I'm just
essential
gonna excuse it. So this is just excuses at this
NPCs.
point.
However, they don't work the same way as they do in Fallout 4. The most important detail is that in New Vegas, companions are only essential if A, they are currently recruited and following the player, and B,
That's
you
still being essential.
are on normal mode as opposed to hardcore mode.
That's an excuse that's still essential, regardless.
In Fallout New Vegas, much like Fallout 4,
Fuck, Skyrim did that way better, man. You can literally recruit companions and kill them, even if they're in your party. So, what's the excuse here?
there is a special hardcore mode difficulty which has drastic effects on various things in the game. Things like
And I know that's a stupid comparison, but I mean, Jesus Christ, you're literally making excuses.
making Stimpack seal over time instead of instantly.
We're actually, when you're with them, that's the only way they're, essential. Well, no, then that's not the only set of essential NPCs, because you also have Yes Man, who cannot die, which, dude, that's essential. And plus this, I mean, come on.
Ammunition have weight. It also makes it
And
so that
also, New Vegas is heavily scripted.
your companions, just like in Fallout 3, can die if they go to 0 HP, whether they're following you or not. And if you're not in hardcore
And it's
mode,
not a bad thing. I'm not saying that. Like, oh, that's bad. I'm just saying it is
you
scripted.
can still kill the companion characters.
That means there's no actually, like, NPCs that you will see roaming around, like, big name NPCs you'll see roaming around or whatever. Just excuses. It's still essential. Like,
if they are
come
not
on.
currently in your party. Meaning that if you piss them off enough to the
We're
point where
gonna go by their
they
logic.
disband from you, or you specifically leave them, you can kill them just like any other character in Fallout New Vegas, which, by the way, only has one essential NPC, because if it didn't have that one, the game would be uncompletable. In Fallout 4, your companions cannot be killed. At
Yeah.
all. Ever. That's the big difference. If they're not recruited at the moment, you can't
Yeah, okay, yeah.
kill them. If
Like,
they
you
are,
can't
they
kill
can't
them.
die to NPC damage.
But, now, and he's using dog meat as an example, but what about when you piss them off? They have death lines. Dude, they literally have death lines when you kill them. If you even use a mod that allows you to kill your companions, guess what, dude? They have death lines. So, my guess, because I've never had this happen, and actually, no, I did. When you piss off a companion, we're to the point of no return, you can kill your companion. I'm pretty sure, and that's more reasonable than just doing it for no reason, I guess. I mean, if you wanted to save the companion for later... But they have death lines, man. I just don't understand. I mean, I get the point that, oh, well, you can't kill them at all, even if they're, not in your party. That is a little annoying, but it's not the end of the world. Just don't fucking travel with them and take your fucking murderous jollies out on some other poor motherfucker that can die.
They can sometimes get back up in the middle of a fight on normal mode, and in Fallout 4's
Oh my
hardcore mode
God,
equivalent,
man.
they only get removed from combat if they are down for too long. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not going to lie here. I'm the kind of person that likes having his NPCs be invincible because I just don't like having them be a huge hassle. I even hack in thousands of bullets for the guns I give them because I don't want to have to deal with their default weapons, except in Fallout 1 and 2. I do understand, however, that many people do like the tension of having to watch out for their NPC followers, and taking away the follower's ability to ever die removes all of that tension. Some people like to combat this point by saying,
Yeah, but that's, again, annoying. You're managing somebody else. And Bethesda's like, well, we don't like that approach, so we're going to have to do it this way. And that's not bad. I mean, there's a point he's making here. It adds, it does add more care and, how you treat your companions and everything else and how you travel the world together and everything, but it's still not the end of the world. And actually, when a companion goes down in Fallout 4 and you're in a high-level area and you have shit weapons, you're fucked. You're gonna wish your companion was revived because they're down for the entire fucking fight. Which, might as well just count them dead. They're fucking useless at that point.
oh, but if the NPC dies, you're just gonna reload a save. To which I must reply, yeah. Your point? Is that supposed to take away all of the legitimacy of wanting your companions to be a failure condition? Because even if you are the kind of
Okay, I have to go back. That just sounds so
when you
weird.
specifically leave them, you can kill them
Okay.
just like any other character in Fallout New Vegas, which by the way only has one essential NPC, because if it didn't have that one, the game would be uncompletable. In Fallout 4, your companions cannot be killed. At all. Ever. That's the big difference. If they're not recruited at the moment, you can't kill them. If they are, they can't die to NPC damage. Hell, they can sometimes get back up in the middle of a fight on normal mode, and in Fallout 4's hardcore mode equivalent, they only get removed from combat if they are down for too long. Now, I'm not going to lie here, I'm the kind of person that likes having his NPCs be invincible because I just don't like having them be a huge hassle. I even hack in thousands of bullets for the guns I give them because I don't want to have to deal with their default weapons, except in Fallout 1 and 2. I do understand, however, that many people do like the tension of having to watch out for their NPC followers, and taking away the follower's ability to ever die removes all of that tension. Some people like to combat this point by saying, oh, but if the NPC dies, you're just gonna reload a save. To which I must reply, yeah. Your point? Is that supposed to take away all of the legitimacy of wanting your companions to be a failure condition? Because even if you are the kind of person who reloads a save once your companions die, then they still function as something that you need to take care of. Because if they die, you still lose.
Fair point.
Something.
Okay,
You lose-
smart. But that does, if you keep reloading saves, it does take that away. Like, dude, it's like, what's the point if, like, in playing, like, New Vegas on hardcore mode, if you're just gonna reload saves to keep your companion alive instead of living with the consequence? You know what I mean? If anything, you should save right after they die, and then you're like, oh, well, I should take care of people more. I don't know. Like, dude, that does take away that whole thing, because you're just going to end up reloading a save just to have them alive again instead of living with the consequence. I
all the
mean,
progress
I
you
don't
made in
fully
between when
agree
they
with
died
that.
in your last save, which is a
That's just coping. Like,
consequence on the level of the player dying themselves. This is
the
actually
fact he even admitted he reloads saves, it does take away the urgency of that, because you're just going to reload the save when they die. It's like you're not going to live with the fact that they died while on your journey.
something that I never understood. People say that reloading a save is dodging the
He's
consequences
really coping here.
of losing a companion, meaning that it's not that bad of a consequence in and
Holy
of itself.
crap.
But when you start talking about player death, then it suddenly becomes valid. And let's not
No, that's not the argument. Oh my god.
the follower's ability to ever die removes all of that tension. Some people like to combat this point by saying, oh, but if the NPC dies, you're just gonna reload a save. To which I must reply, yeah. Your point? Is that supposed to take away all of the legitimacy of wanting your companions to be a failure condition? Because even
Because you're just going to reload the save.
if you are the kind of person who reloads a save once your companions die, then they still function as something that you need to take care of. Because
Yeah,
if
but what's the point if you're just going to keep reloading the save? Did you say once? Did you say once?
companions die, then they still function as something that you need to take care of. Because if they die, you still lose something.
Hold on,
Kill the
sorry.
companion characters, but only if they are all the progress you made in between when they died and your last save, which is a consequence on the level of the player dying themselves. This is actually something that I never understood. People say that reloading a save is dodging the consequences of losing a companion, meaning that
It fucking is, man. You're
it's not that bad of a
coping.
consequence in and of itself, but when you start talking about player death, then it suddenly becomes valid. And let's not forget that many people also don't save scum when their companions
Who
die.
cares? It's a single player game. I personally don't care. But if we're going to argue, yeah, this takes away the agency of needing to take care of your companions, because all you're going to do is reload a save so they don't die. You're not living with that consequence. Okay? That's all that is, and it does take that away. It's like, why play on hardcore? Just go play on the normal mode if you don't want them dead. Like, why reload a save? That just doesn't make sense. And I'm not saying I don't do it. I'm saying, I mean, he's really coping with this. It's like, holy shit,
Onward
dude.
in their journey, taking absolute full responsibility for their negligence or hubris and live in a world without those companions, which is even cooler than reloading a save game. Those people do not and cannot exist in Fallout 4 without outside interference. The game
Okay.
simply does not allow for that style of play to exist, period.
That's objectively wrong. You can kill companions after you piss them off enough. If this is what he's even still talking about.
You just can't do it this time, which is not something I should be saying about Fallout.
Yeah, you don't seem to understand the franchise either, or the world that, you know, these games take place in, considering the fact you wanted a whole fucking Spotify, Pandora, and fucking whatever, or Apple streaming playlist of fucking 50 songs, apparently. I know he didn't say that directly, but he wanted a fuck ton more songs in the game. I fucking understand the
It wasn't
theme.
easy being a meathead.
Oh my god, I don't care if you were a meathead or not. I really love ads, as you can tell.
Now it is.
I don't care.
Meet
Get
the
that out of my
real
face. Get your
meatheads.
meat out of my
Young Bo.
face. Fuck
Take
off.
the next step in your financial journey at Thrivent.com, where
Oh,
money
cool.
means more.
Bullshit.
Okay, now this
there we go.
next one is one I've wanted to get off my shoulders for a very long time now.
Oh, here we go. Is it more
Fallout 4,
coping?
much like, unfortunately, the rest of the entire series, has very unstable internal consistency. However, Fallout 4 has, by far, the worst case of inconsistency among canonical Fallout games, which means not Tactics and not Brotherhood of Steel.
Okay.
Fallout games often have lore and stories that don't line up with the information in previous games, but not only does Fallout 4 have that...
Here we go. I've made a video talking about this. I will briefly touch upon what I've said here. I think this whole criticism is a joke, and kind of a lack of awareness with the series. Anyone who thinks this is lore breaking, you haven't been paying very much attention to the series. I don't know what to tell you.
It also has lore and information that does not even align with itself. Let's start off with another history lesson. I just said a second ago that Fallout games have a rough history when it comes to consistent information. And I wouldn't say that that's an incorrect statement. Fallout is unfortunately a series that sees an immense amount of retcons and changes to lore, some of which is very major stuff. A lot of this is once again the fault of Bethesda. Fallout 1 was...
Okay. This is... I'm gonna say it. This is Bethesda hate. All of the faults for the retconning is Bethesda, even though they've retconned in Fallout 1 and 2, they've also did retcons in New Vegas, and they've also did retcons 3 and 4, and even Tactics. Why Bethesda specifically is the question, but I already know the answer. This is just pure Bethesda hate. He doesn't like Fallout 4.
completely incapable of retconning any lore because it was the starting point
That's
of the
all
franchise.
this is, man. And again, if what I heard is true, I don't know if it is, because someone on Reddit said the reason this dude stopped making videos is because somebody critiqued a critique of his, so... And if that's the case, then Jesus, man, like, wow.
And Fallout 2 and New Vegas don't really feature so much retcons as much as they do kind of silly or downright ridiculous lore. For example, in Dead Money, the first expansion pack for Fallout New Vegas, the
I'm
vending
pretty sure there are some retcons. I'm pretty
machines
sure.
are alchemy devices.
And
Alchemy.
honestly, it's never known about ghouls.
Like lead into gold matter transfusion
I
type
don't know
of
what this
stuff.
has to
And
do.
Fallout
Just
2
get
is,
into
well, it's
the
Fallout
kid in the
2. If
fridge.
you haven't played Fallout 2,
I don't
there's a
fucking
lot of
care.
references.
Cool,
Fallout
don't
3
care.
was the beginning of many of the series' bigger changes in lore, though there weren't that many of them, but some of them were big ones. Here's just a small list. In Fallout 1 and 2, ghoulification was the result of long-term exposure to insane levels of radiation. But in Fallout 3, Moira Brown will become ghoulified immediately if you blow up the nuclear bomb in her hometown of Megaton. In Fallout 1 and 2, the only people who had access to the top-secret forced evolutionary virus were equally top-secret military testing facilities. But in Fallout 3, Vault-Tec also acquired a strain, for some reason. In Fallout 1 and 2, just like everybody else in the game, ghouls could be affected by Jet, but in Fallout 3, a new variant of Jet needed to be mated with stronger potency to affect ghouls. Like I said, it's a small list, and while this is only a sampling, these are 3 very significant examples. There are other smaller details that aren't totally in line with the older games, but some of that is just negligence rather than attempts to actually shift around the lore. And mind you, shifting around the lore of these games is a big deal. The lore and the stories are what everyone in the community bases their understanding of the games on, and when that is constantly being shifted around, no one can get a good understanding of them. But again, Fallout 3's made...
That honestly is not at the fault of Bethesda. They didn't make the franchise. They kind of took off from where Black Isle left. And to be completely honest with you, this is going to be a spicy take here. I don't think Black Isle much gave a fuck for the Fallout franchise. I don't think they have. Because if they did, they would have already written the whole world, the lore down for the sequels and everything else if they really gave a fuck. And I get they had time constraints and everything, but I would assume, you would at least write out more lore for this universe if you're going to make a sequel or whatever, because they didn't start taking it seriously until the second game. So it's not just Bethesda. It's not just Bethesda. Like, the fact he pointed the finger straight at Bethesda is just fucking telling, really. I mean, this is just Bethesda hate at
The
this
problem
point.
wasn't retcons, it was its immensely nonsensical plotline.
I don't care.
Fallout New Vegas came out, and that game was pretty well fitting into the story of Fallout, and it's easy to see why, considering it was made
Yeah,
by the
because you like it.
people who made Fallout, so there weren't that many problems there.
Yeah, and also, we're the reason there's a lot of retcons to begin with, so I don't know what the fuck to tell ya.
You've been working. Your roommate just took up
fucking ads.
percussion as a hobby.
I need Indeed.
Yeah.
Then Fallout 4 happened, and goddamn did it have a bone to pick with old lore. Now, personally, I don't even know if I can fit every example of Fallout 4's
Yeah,
retcon
like, how many retcons in Fallout 4 were there, too? No, and you also got the fusion core, which... Whatever,
I think
dude,
most
it's a
of which are
fucking...
pointless, by the
It's
way.
a goddamn game.
into a sizable time slot.
That honestly started out with no care put into the series at all. I mean, dude...
But I'll list all the ones I can find. First off, Jet was apparently being made by people before the war, despite the fact that it was invented by a kid named Myron sometime.
Yeah, the dude who literally who ends up graping the female player character, and honestly, who seems like a scummy piece of shit. Yeah, let's believe him. My God, dude, how do people not seem to understand that people do manipulate you in these games?
Before Fallout 2
And
takes
they also lie.
place, which takes place over 100 years after the war. Number 2. Enclave Power Armor was not Enclave Power Armor. X01, as it's called now, was apparently being worked on right before the bombs fell, and was then, I don't know, worked on for another 100 years by the Enclave afterwards.
I don't care.
In Fallout 2, this power armor was started as a project to replace T-51B
Okay.
model power armor that the Enclave had with the newer, better suits, which began a long time after the war. So long that some recruits on the Enclave's home base still have to use outdated pre-war models in Fallout 2.
Oh,
And once
I already know the answer to this. Well, there's a lot of secrecy in the universe, so maybe some secret organization put out the armor.
Again, Fallout 2 takes
Let's
place
see what the
more
lore
than
is,
100 years
hopefully.
after the war.
Uh-huh.
Number 3, and this is the big one. Ghouls don't need to eat or drink. Yeah, I'm fucking serious. They actually said that. This one right
Yeah,
here
like, you knew exactly the anatomy of how ghouls function, dude. It's not even confirmed if they even need to or not.
is a very prominent example of a few things.
It actually is not confirmed, so...
Example of massive
here we
and
go.
worthless
Here we go, finally.
conning, and possibly as an example of
Uh-huh.
either someone really not paying attention in Bethesda or Bethesda
No, has seemed to have not paid attention to the entire world that you live in, and it seems to me... Maybe he played this on God mode.
not
I
giving
don't
a shit.
know.
This
Oh, never mind,
tidbit
he
comes to
didn't.
us by
Okay.
way of the quest A Kid in a Fridge,
Okay, he
which is
didn't.
about a kid in a fridge who was
He did not play in God mode. I saw the one bullet, and I was like,
somehow able to survive without any access to food or water because he was locked in that fridge for
Uh-huh.
200 years. More specifically, 210 years.
yeah.
To give you an idea of how long 210 years is, the very first copy of the Merriam-Webster Dictionary appeared 210 years ago. Like,
Why did you include that? That's like, why are you telling us how long ago 210 years is? That's self-explanatory.
the first one. To properly explain the effect of this quest, let's take another look back
I
to
don't like being talked to like I'm dumb. Like, that's a long time without even needing to go into that spurgy amount of detail.
if not the biggest moral decision in Fallout 1. In
Uh-huh.
Fallout 1, your main objective for the first half of the game is to find Vault 13, your birthplace, a new water purification ship, because theirs is broken. The impure water is undrinkable, and no water means no vault.
Yep.
The water purification ship is in the ghoul town of Necropolis,
I
but
know
if we take
that.
their water purifier, they will now be without water, and will have to disband the city or die out. There was a good alternative, however, but only especially well-built characters could go through with it, and it was also
But that's that group of ghouls. No one knows. There's no full list of, like, how ghouls function anatomy checklist, man. There's nothing. You can look up if ghouls need to eat or drink, and the best response that anyone can give you is that it's not known. People don't seem to know if they need to or not, because there is even some inconsistencies in New Vegas, and Fallout 4, and I don't even think they were fucking inconsistencies, dude. I mean, these things are fucking half-dead humans. So I think food would be the last thing radiation would give a fuck about, if anything. I don't know. I'm just making theories. I don't fucking know, and honestly, the fact that a lot of people, including this guy, harped on it without giving it any other thought besides, oh, it's a lore inconsistency and it's bad and it shows Bethesda's incompetency. Fucking ridiculous. No thought whatsoever, not even a creative one, just straight jumping down to just fucking pulling out the gun and aiming it at straight at Bethesda and saying, yeah, this is bad. I know extreme example, but it's pretty much what the fuck this is. I mean, you're just jumping the gun on this. I just don't get that.
The machines were guarded
That
by
is so annoying. I'm gonna be honest,
super
man.
mutants wielding advanced weapons like laser rifles and flamers, which were big shit back in Fallout 1.
I don't
If the
care
player
about
failed-
any of this. He was literally talking about Necropolis and ghouls, and now he's talking about the weapons in Fallout 1. How in the fuck could Kretosis or any of these other dumb Bethesda haters take this shit seriously? This guy is all over the
Fix the water
place.
purification system in Necropolis, the entire town will eventually become a wasteland that gets trampled over by the super mutant army that the Master was starting, with an untold
I don't care!
amount of death by either violence, deprivation.
The point is, there is a town in Fallout 1. Ghouls need the water purifier chip. That's the point of the whole thing here. You don't need to bring up the Master and anything else. The whole point was that the ghouls in Fallout 1 needed to drink. You did not need to go into this amount of detail. This is honestly becoming so fucking annoying. I'm sorry. It's just annoying the shit out of
People
me.
being forced out into the harshness of the wasteland. Tim
don't-
Kaine, the guy who made Fallout.
Tim Kaine seems like a cool guy, but I'm gonna be honest, the team he worked with didn't seem to give much of a fuck about Fallout 1 or 2, and I don't think he did either. I think because he's the type of dude who goes and tries to learn new things, and there's nothing wrong with that, actually. You know, more power to him, and as a matter of fact, that's pretty noble. But yeah, he left the project in Fallout 2,
Choose
man.
Necropolis as an example of things people often would write in about that made them restart the entire game. Because they didn't like being responsible for that ending. Necropolis is a fantastic
Yeah, kind of like how you don't like being responsible for when your companion dies.
embodiment of what made the framework for this franchise so solid. This
You
is
know,
the
how you reload a save and shit.
kind of stuff that made Fallout resonate so intensely with so many people. This choice has serious consequences, and the only way to get out the best of both worlds is to go the extra mile and put your skin on the line. It's not the magnum opus of the franchise, but for one of the first ones he ever had to make, it was pretty good. And Kid in the Fridge tramples it.
How?
All over it. Crushes it. Destroys it. Negates it. Cancels it.
Yep, you're just going into this whole hate-fueled bullshit with no other thought besides they trampled it and all this fucking bullshit he's spewing.
Deletes it and erases it. Fallout 4 is the latest game in the franchise, meaning that it's the latest information about this franchise's lore and the world. Any new info in Fallout 4 overwrites anything in the previous games because it is the newest and most accurate vision of the people who make the media. And where this overwrites, it obliterates. Take a quick think about it. Because Billy the ghoulified kid never...
One Quest 2, mind you, set this dude off to go say that they ruined an entire fucking section of a species in the fucking game. Another human species, if you can even call it that, if you want. I don't know. I view ghouls as humans, actually, to be honest.
needed
but...
water or food for more than 200 years, then the people of Necropolis don't either. Meaning that they should have no problem with living in a Necropolis where they didn't have fresh water and had no use for the water purification chip. The entire quest involving getting that chip and the decision involved in it, the one that dictates the lives of a city's worth of people, is now meaningless. Putting in the extra effort to make sure the city has a proper functioning water purifier? Meaningless. Specifically leaving Necropolis to the fate of a drought?
Everything you're saying here is meaningless. You're holding this onto one individual character versus a group of individual characters. Which, by the way, radiation tends to difference from person to person. I don't know if you guys have heard of the guy who, long ago, I don't know this guy's name, but he was able to eat uranium or lick it to prove how undangerous it is. So my theory is that radiation affects people differently. And that can even go for ghouls in this sense. Okay? It's a scary mystery, but I'm just going to be honest. There is no substantial evidence if ghouls even need to eat or drink. And as a matter of fact, if anything, that should have been established in the first two games.
Meaningless. Having to abandon the people of the city because you can't fix the machine? Meaningless. Don't bother feeling bad or anything like that. Because it never mattered in the first place.
It's just funny how he's saying this, but he's not giving it, other thought. Just
and
jump straight down the barrel with this.
Let's not forget the struggle of almost every ghoul in Fallout 3, a game about people, including ghouls, not having enough water to survive, and about how that's a bad thing.
Yeah, but those are also adult ghouls. There's a lot of theories here, bro. Like, my main theory is the reason Billy didn't need to eat or drink is because he's a child, and children have, or at least the eating part, he has high metabolism. Children do. Or at least when you're younger, you have high metabolism. So maybe the radiation affected that somehow and could have affected, the fact he needed to drink too. As I've been saying, radiation is a scary mystery.
Any instance of ghouls trying to
We're literally theorizing or talking about a fucking fictional world and a radiated child not needing to eat or drink.
figure out what they're going to eat and drink in any of the other Fallout games, like in the quest Come Fly With Me in Fallout New Vegas. Every instance of ghouls
there is no mention that they need to eat or drink besides Harland,
having to worry about survival
who
because
said
of
that he ate rad roaches for protein and drank the water off the pipes for water, the condensation. Yeah, I mean, that can prove in a way ghouls need to eat or drink, but to be honest, they could probably withstand without needing to do that for a while. I mean, they're not even technically human anymore. It's even hard to even say that. I do view ghouls in the games as humans, with massive setbacks, but whatever.
the resources, like the town of Gecko in Fallout 2, gone. Doesn't matter anymore. They don't need water nor do they need food. Kid, you're proof.
Okay, who cares? Like, those are individual characters, and radiation affects people fucking differently. Garen fucking it.
And what do we get in place of the loss of Necropolis? And we get a quest where we escort a defenseless kid to his house 120 meters
Probably the darkest quest in any Fallout game, to be honest.
away. Get propositioned by some random guy to sell him, and
No, you're able to enslave people in Fallout 3.
for 350 caps, not even kidding. Or we just take him to his very conveniently still living parents who still live in their house for 210 years and maybe fight off a couple of gunners. And that's it. This is one of two things. Either Bethesda didn't do any research or even remotely think about what
You didn't either, brother, because you wouldn't have brought this up. You would have shut the fuck up about it because there's really no confirmed evidence if ghouls need to do that or not. It's just hearsay and individual, character experiences as a ghoul. Like, that's fucking stupid.
the ramifications of this quest were going to be before they did it.
Dude, there's no, even when this video came out, I think it came out 2017-ish. When was it? Does it say on the re-upload when this came out? Okay. Nope, no fucking year. Well, fuck you, man. So I guess this came out,
Or that Bethesda doesn't care about the most
2017, 16-ish.
important facts of Fallout lore and will twist and turn it as long
Even then, there's no confirmed information about if ghouls need to eat or drink, unless Fallout 76 straight up said, yeah, they do. Then, yeah, this is a fair criticism.
it lets them have their stupid, gimmicky quest lines. Assuming it's the first,
Which
then
I doubt they're going to do, because without mystery, there would be no... It wouldn't make the world interesting, in my
Bethesda
opinion.
is a negligent group of either idiots or people led by idiots who never thought out even once to worry about how the thing...
Says the guy who fucking points the finger straight at Bethesda for the lore inconsistencies, when the lore wasn't even established at all. And when when the fucking first two games came out, I mean, a bit of it was, but it wasn't confirmed and set in stone.
they write affect the rest of the universe in these games.
Fuck
or to do
off.
even the most remote amount of research on the subject matter of the game they're selling to people at a full price. And
yeah.
are therefore totally unfit in their current
Which, by the way, the base game's $20 now.
to be in
so.
possession of a trustworthy writing department. And if it's the latter, then it's actually both. If this is, in fact, something Bethesda did on purpose, then not only does it show that they do not have any respect for the subject matter that they are working with at all, in the slightest or in any way, but it also shows that they lack the ability to pay attention not only to whether or not this detail conflicts with the rest of the Fallout universe, but they also lack the ability to pay attention to see if this quest conflicts with the rest of the game. As
Oh my god, dude. Are you serious?
in the game they
Okay, whatever. There's no proof of that, and from the way it seems, you just don't have respect for Bethesda because, Fallout 4 is the game that, that you want to play.
Were working on when they were making this quest, which is in the game they were working on. Want to know how I know? Because in the settlement building minigame, the player can recruit new settlers if they have the necessary water and food.
Yeah, and then, ghouls are a part of that, but that doesn't mean it's just for ghouls. They're combining everyone together, which, hey, is a little weird, I will admit, but at the same time, it's not that big of a deal. It is not confirmation that ghouls 100% objectively need to eat or drink. That's just how the fuck it is. And honestly, we're talking about a fucking ghoul child, as for God's sake. Like, one of the first ghoul children you've ever seen in a game, because there is not one ghoul child in any of the previous games. Fucking A.
To supply them. The more water and food a player has, the more...
People just think that, oh, well, this person's a race, so, this person's an orc, so this is how all orcs think. Dude, you're saying this is one person, one character, and one character says something, that's set in stone. Okay. All right, brother, shut up.
They can recruit. And as such, once they recruit people, those people start to
And
use
then the whole jet thing, really, you're gonna believe a fucking rapist, really? Okay, whatever. I mean, that's stupid as fuck to think that Myron, of all people, would have actually invented Jet, even though he's one of the most slimiest piece of shit characters in the entire franchise, but okay.
those resources. It's the accumulative cost of having people live somewhere. If
I
they're
don't
going
care.
to do that, they need to have the supplies to actually
Dude,
do so.
It's a gimmick. It's a fucking mechanic. It does not say, and it's not pointing an arrow saying, ghouls need to eat, look. It's literally them being a part of your settlement, and just adds to the fucking gameplay mechanic. Like, they include them as one, not a separate race, and they should do that, but I don't know. So
when survive.
Whatever.
Except that, in
Except
some
that.
cases, you can recruit ghoul settlers who take up those resources. As in, they still need to drink and to eat food. Meaning that there are only three possible truths to this situation. Either Bethesda does not...
I can see how it can be looked at as a retcon, but dude, these are also adult
care enough about Fallout to pay attention to anything they make with it, or they're incapable
like, one ghoul child doesn't speak for an entire grown-ass group of ghouls.
paying enough attention to make sure
so
things like that
dumb, man. That's
just don't happen.
so
Or Billy is
annoying.
just the only ghoul who doesn't need to eat, and it's never
I
explained
don't-
why or how, and he just does that.
Yeah, because it's literally left for you to think about it. And the fact that he, instead of thinking about it, he got mad. I just think he didn't like what they did. And that's fine. It's just the way, he's kind of pointing the finger at Bethesda and saying this game is just the worst in the franchise is absolute dog shit.
And there's no answer to how it happens, and Bethesda made this quest. Put work into voice acting this kid and his parents and Bullet and the Gunners without ever wondering or questioning how it works in a universe where people need to eat and to drink. Something Bethesda should very clearly understand since they made an entire Fallout game about people needing to drink fresh, clean water. Oh, and are you ready for this? Because I have a trap card, fucker. I know.
Yeah, but that doesn't still speak for ghouls, dude. That's not everyone.
Fact that the third one is not the truth, because this isn't the only instance of Fallout 4 contradicting its own self.
Okay.
Check this out. In one of the loading screens for Fallout 4, the game claims that, much like the rest of the series does, that T-51 model power armor was the most advanced model in place before the Great War ushered in the apocalypse. However, also in the lore of Fallout 4, there exists T-60 model power armor. T-60 model power armor is not only stated to be a pre-war variant of power armor from the exact loading screen tips as the one before this, but can also spawn in pre-war locations, even locked ones that haven't been accessed by anybody yet, if you're in the right level range. T-60 model power armor also happens to have superior stats, in every way, to T-51 models, meaning that it's better. And after a quick look at the wiki, it was made later, and is therefore the most advanced model of power armor, which also saw military service before the war. Which means that the first loading screen is a lie. Even worse is that...
And you don't think for a minute that the wiki could have gotten that wrong? I don't know. Who cares, man? It doesn't affect my life. It probably never affected yours either. It's just a suit of fucking dumb armor. Not a character. not a...
So
Oh,
one
God,
power armor, which used to be known as Enclave
everybody's so uptight about their power armor. Oh my
power armor,
God.
was also made into a pre-war model in Fallout 4. So there are 2 iterations of power armor that replace T-51, making that loading screen doubly false.
Okay, who cares?
No
I
one
don't.
noticed, or they didn't care. And don't even tell me that they didn't have time to change this, because it's easily something that they could have done in one of the many post-launch patches that were made for Fallout 4. Now, I'm not going to get too upset over retcons. I think they're often
You actually did. You got really mad. Like, you don't think you got too upset? Dude, you spent a good time ranting about something that's not even confirmed. So please, tell me how you don't want to get too mad when you were already kind of frothing. I would say partially frothing over something that's not confirmed. Even to this day. So,
of
okay.
good writing and completely pointless, but they have their value if you use them
This
properly.
video's not really aging really good.
However, when we get to the point
It's
where the
actually just traditional Bethesda hate, Fallout 4 bad, this, that, the other thing.
game starts to contradict itself, we
Uh-huh.
might, just maybe, have a problem.
Oh.
Anyway...
So you think you know Wix, but do you really?
It's funny, he's playing it up like, dude. Oh my God, it's fucking
First
ad.
up, we've got
He's playing it up like it's some big thing. Like it's reasonable to get mad at this. It's like, no, it is not reasonable. It's literally like, dude, it's not even confirmed. It just looks like you're getting mad because they dared to include a new addition to ghouls, like a ghoul child, and that ghoul child doesn't speak for all ghouls. So no, the reason not justified whatsoever to be pissed at this. It's just coping, and the fact that I guess they added something new, or it's just Bethesda.
Where even was I?
I don't know, bitching about things that were not confirmed.
Oh right, the fucking
Oh, here we go. I'm gonna get a copyright strike. Oh God, I'm gonna have to. Oh, I'm gonna make noise. I'm gonna make noise. Actually, let's just do an overview. Is he going to bitch more about Fallout 4? Or actually, it's a question. Do you think he's going to bitch about Fallout 4 more, or do you think that he's actually going to give it some fair credit? Probably not. Come on, shut up. Who fucking cares? Come on. Come on. Who cares? Who cares? I wanna skip. I got a copyright strike the last time, but I was able to fix it, so... I won't say anything. Okay, now.
We follow Dogmeat across a stretch of the wasteland until he eventually takes us to an old-world military base named Fort Hagen. Fort Hagen itself is just a dungeon filled with lots of Kellogg's synth lackeys. The only really interesting thing that happens is when we get to Kellogg himself. Kellogg is the guy who killed our wife, as you can probably tell, and he has some choice words for us about our son. He tells us that he doesn't have Sean, the Institute does, and that we shouldn't try to look for him because we'll never find the Institute, and because he's safe under their care. Being the unstoppable force of dad that we are, we still insist on finding him no matter what. And after that, Kellogg says he wants to, start a duel with us or something, because I guess 1 second ago he was so confident that the Institute's stealth, that they would be able to be unfindable, and now he has to kill us to prevent us from finding them. I don't know. In whatever...
If you knew Kellogg's life, yeah, he knew he was getting tracked down, and I think Father fucked him, actually, not literally, that'd be gross, but, fucked him over. I'm pretty sure that happened, because I think Sean, who's father, spoiler, father, I believe, set Kellogg up with this, so you can avenge, your son and your dead spouse or whatever.
For case, we get into a duel with Kellogg, who's the game's first boss fight. Kellogg here falls into the Fallout trend of having really subpar boss fights, and let's be honest here, they have always been kinda bad.
Yeah.
The Master just has 2 Gatling lasers and spawns infinite guards, Colonel Autumn is a joke, and Legate Lennius is not really that much hot shit either. Really, the best two are Leggett Lennius and Frank Horgan, only because Lennius can be taken down just with speech, and because Frank's fight has a little something for every character to shine in, which is like the baseline for RPG boss design. Kellogg's Cornflakes here just kind of runs around with like a stealth boy, he doesn't really do much. Again, this is not the series' strong suit. Once we kill Kellogg, we get his brain chip and a few other goodies, which we would think would be a good idea to bring back to Valentine for inspection. Once we leave the fort, we also get to see the Thanksgiving aerial parade starring the Brotherhood of Steel and their big fuck-off skyboat, which once and for all seals the possibility of a Fallout game without their inclusion right where the rest of this game belongs, in the garbage.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about the factions much later. This is technically the point where the main quest splits into its second half, but we're not at the point where every option is open for us to proceed with yet, so for now, the most important thing to do is just to get back to Valentine. We run our way back out there, and we tell Valentine that we killed Kellogg and that he took Sean to the Institute. And all seems lost until Nick suggests we go to some place called the Memory Den, which will allow us to look back into the memories of Kellogg and see where Sean was taken. After you acquire some
Okay,
of
I'm
Kellogg's
assuming he played as himself, which I don't think... Because I was thinking as he was rambling about when he was bitching about, you know, how the game's not an RPG. I wonder if that's why he thinks that, because he played as himself.
which I did prematurely, you can head out to the Memory Den, where the doctor will tell you that it'll take the collective brain power of both Nick and you to access Kellogg's memories, since all we have is access to some device stored in his hippocampus.
Yeah.
Accessing Kellogg's memories is done in the style of what you would call an interactive cutscene, very
And man,
reminiscent
yeah,
of
this is probably the most annoying quest in any game I've ever played.
similar sequences in
Actually, no, Dima's memory thing was pretty bad, too.
Far Cry 3's drug trips, and I have to say, you know the people who make this game understand their subject matter when they make a vital quest to nothing but a 16-minute sequence where you have no weapons and no way to interact with things and are supposed to just walk in a straight line while having plot exposition at you, while also surrounded by invisible walls. That's what these games have always been about, right? It's here that we learn.
You are not getting the context of this very quest, dude. You literally explained it. It's because you are in his mind. And they're trying to, you know, kind of keep things like, what the fuck, man? Why would you even want an open world segment in this? This is so dumb.
About various past experiences of Kellogg's, and one of them actually brings up a very good point
it's about this. Well, you're literally in Kellogg, going through Kellogg's memories, so you're Kellogg essentially. Oh, fucking A, man. I mean, cool.
Fallout
I mean,
4.
it's cool that you get to know Kellogg, but after like your 5th or 6th or 100th playthrough, you can just go on and skip this entire thing.
And
actually,
3 that a lot of people ask about, and no
it's
one
funny how he says that. You could skip this entire shit. You can just go on. If you know where to go and you're playing it through the 5th time, you just fucking walk on those fucking
for answers, and is a very valid
brain
point, and
things.
Is this. Why,
That
after
right
200
there.
years, does a lot of the East Coast look
I
like
don't know
it's
what
still the
that's
same it
called.
was
Neural
right
pathways, I think, is what those
after the
are.
bombs fell? There's a few things we need to consider when it comes to this point. Garbage in major and minor settlements, vegetation, and the placement of items in the world, and the intensity of old world items that just seem entirely untouched. Especially ones lying around that have no valid reason for
Yeah, okay.
untouched,
I
such
did
as,
make a video briefly talking about this.
crates or guns all over the place.
Yeah.
Let's start off with that first one, because it fits into the current events like a charm. Let's set the stage with some information from Kellogg's own brain here. Our friend Kellogg grew up in the NCR and was born in 2179. Just for reference, Fallout 1 takes place about 20 years beforehand, and in that game the NCR was just a tribal farming village incapable of dealing with a bunch of rad scorpions in a cave. Fallout 2 takes place in 2241, Fallout 3 takes place in 2277, New Vegas 4 years later than that, and Fallout 4 in 2287. Kellogg's childhood memory here shows that his life was rather close to the life of a pre-war child. He has pajamas, a house, comic books, a working radio tuned into the NCR's own news frequency. His worst problem is his most definitely abusive father. However, what happens to Kellogg isn't important. What's important is how the NCR is handling. Now,
Okay, man. I don't... okay, what?
I have no idea how the small tribal farming village turned into a huge success in just over 20 years, but they did, and apparently the NCR is capable, in 2179, of providing quality of life that, on the surface, parallels early 20th century America.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some Googling on that, actually, after this, so...
This is an instance of Bethesda
just not gonna
acknowledging
say
that people in the
anything.
wasteland haven't been sitting around for 200 years and have taken the time to rebuild and clean up and invent and thrive in life instead of existing in some kind of a time warp where people still scour pre-war ruins every day for beans and cereal. And I have to ask, in a world where the NCR can get a functioning radio system in less than 20 years after they stopped being a farming village and capable of dealing with a rad scorpion nest, how exactly is it that there are still piles upon piles of garbage and muck inside of a place like Diamond City? And don't say that people just don't care because it's just trash and doesn't affect anybody, because having lots of garbage around does affect people. It causes sickness and infestation of insects and other rodents, and that's why we take our time to toss our milk jugs and egg cartons into dumps that are isolated from society. This is something that plagued Fallout 3 too, and there's still no explanation as to why, in more than 2 centuries, people haven't gotten up off their asses and become the garbage collectors, and it gets annoying. And my
Yeah, it's because it's an irradiated fucking wasteland, man. I don't think people would even want to pick up through fucking garbage, and it's funny. People still do that today. In real life. I mean, Jesus Christ, what a dumb take. Holy crap.
I don't just mean trash.
Well, in a world where it's irradiated, I don't know why people wouldn't get off their ass and start, rebuilding and cleaning up and everything. It's like...
I also mean things like rubble, debris, anything that's lying around that just shouldn't be lying around, that people would have had the sense to pick up and put somewhere else.
Okay.
People in Diamond City...
I will say, for Diamond City's sake,
have been able to start up businesses, a radio show, a town guard.
I mean, it's for the aesthetic that the world is broken and all that, but you don't need the
automated turret defense systems, a meat grill, a restaurant, but not one person.
I mean, just looking around like the
has bothered to get a trash bag
structure of the baseball field, you can tell the world's
clean
fucked.
some shit up. However, like I said, credit where credit's due. I'm glad Fallout 4 has taken time to actually figure out where people get their basic necessities.
Rare for you to even give the game credit, but better than most.
Now. In case you never played Fallout 3, just know that everyone in that game existed on a diet of nothing because no one herded or grew any food, and there were no plants, and the ecosystem apparently existed entirely on cockroaches. But in Fallout 4, you never have to worry about where people get their food because people grow food. In your settlements, in their own settlements, there's food now, okay? It's just nice to see that people subsist off of something, some kind of a renewable resource instead of magical photosynthesis. Actually, that brings up the matter of vegetation.
Magical photosynthesis? You mean, let's talk about this. The fact that they relied on fucking wildlife and hunters to get their food. And caravans.
Because in all of 210 years, barely any plants have grown into the wasteland naturally, and almost none of the grass and the trees on the east coast have grown back. Again, in all of 210 years, not a single tree has grown back, despite the fact that in Fallout 2 trees are growing in California, and in New Vegas, Nevada's
yeah, because from what I remember, I don't think the West was hit as hard as the fucking East. I mean, dude, you could literally go in Fallout 4 to where the bomb fell, so let's get theoretical here. If you're playing in the city, or in this case, if you're playing in the city where the bomb actually, where one of the bombs actually hit, it wouldn't surprise me that even after years, the fucking world is still dead looking. Radiation, again, is a scary mystery. I don't know. We don't know.
Views for trees are also growing back. For Fallout 3, people like to make the excuse that trees don't grow there because the area was more heavily bombarded, saying that radiation prevents the growth of plants, even though that can't be the case because Fallout 4's area was bombed far less heavily and still doesn't have trees. But just assuming that excuse is valid, then it still doesn't explain why Fallout 4's world is barren of almost all of its plant life. Most of all the plant life that does exist is found in settlements. Everything else is pretty...
What do you mean bombed is hard? Do you think that you need like 2 nuclear bombs to make it officially bombed? Dude, we needed one on fucking Hiroshima. You have not been doing your research.
Pretty much a clean slate of untouched wasteland.
Like, what the fuck kind of battle was he expecting? Like, that's how scary nukes are. You need one. You don't need a whole fucking squadron. Now, the way, the war, if that were to happen, theoretically, they would be bombing multiple major areas in each country. That's to fully fucking destroy. I mean, but no, doesn't mean that, an area needs multiple nukes. It means there's nukes for each individual area in every country. And that's the unfortunate, idiotic reality we live in, but...
And speaking of untouched, another
so dumb,
symptom of
man,
Bethesda's world design that features in Fallout 4 is how the destroyed civilization of the old world seems to be like it's the same as it was 200 years ago. There's litter and loot.
Oh no, I think there were 2 bombs actually. I think. Let's do some research. Let's 1945 by the United States during the Second World War. This okay. Bombed the United States, dropped an atomic bomb, condemned little boy. Significance, this was the first instance of an atomic bomb being used in conflict, leading to the widespread devastation of Hiroshima. Context of bomb is okay. The bomb. I heard there was 2 bombs dropped. Was that complete bullshit? Could have been. I'll have to do more fact research on that, but so far it's saying there's one. I mean, that's scary
scattered
enough.
all over the place, and there's infestations of ghouls and other various pests just across vast stretches of the ruins of Boston that no one has dealt with. Just as an example of what exactly I mean by this,
Yeah, well, because raiders are slobs, and not only that, the world is fucking dangerous, and you have super mutants, creatures, and all these dangerous things, so why do you want an ecosystem in a world where, if that were to happen, the possibility of deaths are fucking high? Like, Diamond City was a fair point, but this other shit, like, outside of that, what the fuck are you talking about? You are forgetting the fact that people would not be motivated considering the fact that there are things out there that could kill them, drug-deranged raiders, and fucking Deathclaws, and fucking failed FEV experiments that the Institute planted in the Commonwealth. So, yeah, I would definitely would like to go clean up a totally non-safe fucking wasteland. Yeah, get the fuck out of here with this argument.
location called the South Boston Military Checkpoint, there's an army skeleton on the roof of the main building that's still in the original position it looks like he died in, with his ancient designated marksman's rifle sitting right next to him, like neither have been so much as looked at in 200 years. His incredibly valuable weaponry and bulletproof army helmet are just sitting up on a rooftop that's maybe 10 feet high, and in 200 years, no one has ever bothered trying to get up there, which is weird, because especially since the loot can be seen from a nearby hill, so it's not like nobody ever saw the thing. And there's about 4 gunners who live inside this thing at the very moment, who still actively don't seem to care about getting the thing.
Yeah, because the gunners are not actually sent to look for weapons, you know? I think they're there for tech, if I'm not mistaken. I know that for a fact they're not there to fucking, you know, loot like scavengers. They're there for a reason, and a pretty big one, if that.
A single one of just these guys and however long they've been
And
here.
who knows, maybe they assume that the gun is fucked up, or, you know, they don't have a ladder. I don't know.
Instead of either A, looting the skeleton for his stuff,
it
or
is
B,
a fucking game. I mean, there needs to be some things for the player to see.
taking up his position as a sniper for the outpost's defense. And that's just one example. There's hundreds of old world skeletons and items just lying around all over the place in Fallout 4, despite the fact that 200 years of looting and scavenging.
My point still stands. The world's too dangerous for people to give a fuck to clean it. Death and sickness, like, dude, get the fuck out of here.
Prospecting should have plagued the area. This was a problem in Fallout 3, too, where 200 years after the war, people were still getting their food by ripping apart supermarkets for old world mashed potatoes and macaroni packets, which were somehow still in high supply, even though no one got their food from anywhere else. For 200 years! Fallout 4 got past the whole people are still scavenging around for packaged pineapples thing, but still has ruins that look like they haven't been passed over until the player character finds them. In fact, a line some companions will even say is, "It looks like we've been the first people in this place for a long time," or something to the same effect. This isn't the worst or most important detail about Fallout 4's world design, however, the worst is how it's laid out from a mechanical perspective. Open world games have a very difficult time doing level design, because the levels in open world games aren't really levels, it's more like one gigantic level filled with lots of small levels. And I have to say, that sure as hell is a very apt description of Fallout 4's world. Once again, let's take a look back at the previous games to see how they did world design in compared to how Fallout 4 does world design. In
God.
Fallout 1 and 2, the world was a very different affair than in any of the 3D games. Unlike
Yeah,
every
no
other
shit.
major Fallout,
You
1
don't
and 2 are
say.
made up of nothing but smaller levels that, very much like its sequels, were all handmade.
It's just so insulting for him to now say that, oh, it's really different. Dude, you've showed footage of this. You now
Which
tell
level
him,
you got,
like,
however, was
dude,
just randomly chosen out of a
I'm
very
not
large
dumb.
pool of different cells. None of them were interconnected like the 3D games. The levels that got the most love, however, were the locations the player could actually go to and explore, like all the towns and the dungeons. Now, level design has never, ever been Fallout's strong suit, and instead of letting that get in its way, the developers instead focused on making sure their world design and building were top-notch. All the worlds and levels of Fallout may not have been laid out to play the best in the most efficient ways, but they did tell a story, and they made sense. They fit the role of whatever they're trying to be more than they fit the role of levels in a game. The factories look like factories, the towns are built up with a set of commandments they follow to make each one feel like an actual place that people could live in, and it's great. The care taken into making the world of Fallout believable is what makes these games such a massive draw for the people who love them, and I can personally attest to that. In Fallout 3, however, there was a huge switch, which obviously came with a switch in subgenre and engine technology, since the new games were made up of massive three-dimensional spaces where every square inch was visible, interconnected, and they had to fill that space with something, and a lot of times that led to areas being dedicated to nothing but a simple dungeon or a pack of enemies or a small loot cache. But the great thing about Fallout 3 was how they were able to make a world in fully 3D that is still very believable, once you ignore the whole ecosystem no food thing. The loot caches...
Yeah, because this is 2008. And the tech then was not as compared to what we have now. Like, dude, really? Come on. Oh, if you ignore the ecosystem and the fact they don't get rain, and, you know, or, what the fuck was it? They don't get food. You know, they don't eat. What do they eat? Fucking wildlife, dude. There are hunters you can run across in the game that you can buy meat off of, and I'm pretty sure they go to major cities to go sell and make a profit, so...
weren't just loot caches, they were scavengers' houses.
Anyhow.
Enemy packs weren't just enemy packs, they were raider outposts.
That is so besides the point. Like, I mean, dude, this is the issue I have with 90% of these. Like, this is a critique of Fallout 4, but now it's a critique of... or it's, let's bring up all the games. Let's bring them up all and talk about them and talk about how which one's better than the other and explain why. Like, who gives a fucking rat's ass?
Old world factories and other
I don't give a fuck.
buildings or dens or whatever.
Who cares?
And at least someone is going to get on my case for this, but besides what we've already talked about in relation to, food, I still think a lot of Fallout 3 had care taken into making it feel like a real place rather than its gamey equivalent. I think, genuinely, Bethesda cared more about making a world out of Fallout 3 than they did a big level full of islands of shallow content. Of course, this doesn't apply to the towns or the main quest of Fallout 3, which both make no fucking sense. But again, I think a vast majority of the world in Fallout 3 does the job any Fallout game should do, at least, and is, at the very least, what we should expect of Fallout games. Additionally, Fallout 3 played into the series' strengths by letting players just go wherever they want from the start.
I mean, he did say in the beginning he'd be going over all this, so, I mean...
more of a whole
compared to other YouTubers who just bring this shit up just to, you know, prove... It's kind of like getting smeared, right? You know, you, like, if somebody has to bring in recruits just to make you look bad, and in this case, it is Fallout, okay? If you have to point to other things to say, look, see, this is why this is bad, you'd have no argument. You don't. You need the other games to bolster you up. Kind of like how smears need other people to, you know, make their smear seem believable, but that's technically what this is. They're smearing Fallout 4, but instead of it being a group of people, they're combining all the older games and saying, look at what this did compared to Fallout 4. See, Fallout 1 is way better because it gave you freedom. And Fallout 4 apparently doesn't, so I just, yeah. He can run with this bullshit narrative and talk about Fallout 3, 2, and 1 all he wants. I don't much care.
But it's a good holdover. While there are some points in which I wouldn't be surprised to hear were made just to be content in Fallout 3, I almost know for an absolute fact that Fallout New Vegas cared more about making a believable place than it ever did about making a game world. Everything in Fallout New Vegas makes, at least, some sense. The entire game space is constructed under the commandments of the towns in Fallout 1 and 2. Every question you could have about the places in the Mojave are answered. You see where people get their food, you see what things have evolved in 200 years since the bombs fell, you see how factions are working to take or relinquish or move on territories in the area.
Yeah, but it's very evident that the West wasn't hit nearly as hard as the East. It's clear as fuck.
You see how the politics of one group affect another.
Yeah, because this is all in the West. Even there's statements in Fallout 4 saying that the West was a little more peaceful than, you know, the Commonwealth and DC.
Put into words, really. It's something you have to see for yourself.
And that's not a bad thing. That's just lore. I mean...
A lot of people like to say that Fallout New Vegas' world is
fucking evident.
Full of a lot of nothing, but if you actually played this game, that line should be completely laughable. In fact, you should be busting your fucking chops at that because it's hilariously false. In fact,
I'm not laughing at anything you're saying.
A little exercise I want to do. I heard somewhere on the Fallout Reddit that Fallout New Vegas' world has nothing but an exercise in walking down a highway and seeing nothing for 400 hours. So we're gonna go
to a little, you know, they're kind of true a little bit. I mean, I think that's just an open world game flaw, to be honest.
Take a walk down a highway in Fallout New Vegas.
And it's going to be a cherry-picked highway. Look at that.
So as you can see, we've transitioned over into a live recording here so that we could save some time and get a real, authentic reaction to walking down a highway. So let's begin. I'm going to put on the auto walk, and we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, what about for console players, dude?
Okay, so immediately I see some kind of a radio.
Yeah,
relay.
dude, you are cherry picking. This is 100% cherry picking.
Or
Congratulations.
something with another radio relay destroyed and some towers and what
Oh
might
yeah, yeah. You see that radio station over there? Very interesting to look at. Dude, this is such a stretch. Holy fuck, you're
look
reaching.
like some kind of a building, but well, that's only one thing. What else can we look at?
Oh, well, what else? Oh, just nothing but desert. He cherry picked this, dude.
Well, there's some kind of a fortification or a camp of some description, you could call it, over there. Across
Sounds like, dude, this just reminds me of those awkward people that try to, awkwardly explain their point when they have no point. But look over here. You see there's interesting... Dude, this is lame. This is such a fucking reach. You cherry-picked this location. What about all the way from Good Springs to Prim? And then from Prim to the Mojave Outpost? What about those areas? Oh, that's right, because that is the most boring part of the game. The fact that he cherry-picked this location and this highway is absolutely just ridiculous. Yeah.
It's very small.
And all this stuff he's pointing out, not a big deal. What?
Stretch of wasteland.
Yeah, a stretch of nothing. Like, dude, you're proving the point.
What else do we have? Oh, there is the city of New Vegas in the background, of course, but that's not.
I
it.
love this game. I'm not afraid to call it out, though. Yeah, look at this. Oh, so cool!
Too important, obviously.
Look how brown it is!
That would kind of undermine the argument that there's nothing to look at, so we'll just pay no attention to it. Okay, on our left here, we're starting to come up into the ruins of...
You still cherry-pick this area. Like, you should have just shown from the start Good Springs, and then just go on your merry way to Prim. Or to Sloan. But you're not going to do that, because that will prove the point.
Vegas, old Vegas, that is, not New Vegas. Because there was a city of Vegas before this.
Yeah,
there's some
no shit.
travelers over there. We have a gas station. What else do we have? Oh, we have some kind of a fenced-in area over here, and
Are
some
you going
kind
to
of
go
very strange
actually
building.
over there, or are you just going to run past them? Because if you're just going to be like, oh, look, landmark! It's the equivalent of driving by Barnes on a road trip.
Back there that may or may not include, various dungeons or special energy weapons or anything like that, but of course...
Yeah, oh yeah, so let's point it out and say, look, so you have something to look at over there. Dude, this is such a pathetic reach.
Wouldn't be paying attention to things like that, because Fallout has nothing to look at. Fallout New Vegas, rather, there is nothing to look at, as we know.
Yeah, you're coping too, at the same time. Like, holy crap, the cope is real.
There's that camp again. Getting a little... Oh, hello, what's this? Well, the draw distance in these games has never been great, but apparently something just phased in. Some sort of a tower with a big train, but we're again... Oh, here we go. Perfect. This is exactly what I was looking for. Blinders. That way I could stop paying attention to the reality of the world and make stupid claims.
You just pointed out the lamest things in the game. If you think this is strong evidence to suggest that Fallout New Vegas has nothing to offer, or that you wander through a desert, you just made yourself look like a massive coper. I'm sorry. Like, it's reaching and coping all mixed into one. It's a rope.
If there's one criticism of Fallout New Vegas that has any legitimacy, it's that there are certain locations that have map markers that don't really need map markers.
Yeah.
Like
See, there we go. And he...
Dry
okay.
Island, which is probably the biggest
But
example.
the fact that he cherry-picked that, dude, that's reaching, and you made New Vegas look worse.
Of course, these locations aren't valueless. For example, if Empire Dry Lake itself was given a map marker, most likely because it's an actual location in real-world California. But certain places really don't need map markers, and it's very clear that a lot of these areas, such as...
Still don't get what this has to do with Fallout 4. Why rope New Vegas in and even critique it like this? Why not just make a separate video? I don't know.
Searchlight Airport, which is nothing but a runway with 7 or 8 scorpions on it, which guard 2 trunks full of money, probably got gypped like a lot of Fallout New Vegas did. I would say that this game didn't have a long enough development time, and by all laws of justice, it certainly did not. But Chris Avallone, who is a prolific writer for this franchise...
I very distinctly remember him tweeting this at me a long time ago, but I cannot find the exact tweet, so you're going to have to take my word. Probably not something you're against if you're this far in.
Guys himself did say that this was around the idea of an average cycle, so I guess we'll just take his word for it. A lot of people throw flack at New Vegas because they think it limits your freedom by forcing you to go south from Good Springs, and I will say that there is some and no legitimacy to this claim. This game was very obviously designed around the idea that the player is going to take the easy road south in New Vegas, and if you do go that way, you'll have the smoothest introduction to all of the game's mechanics.
It's literally, I think, designed, because why put enemies, the hardest and most annoying enemy types, behind the water tower or behind the fucking cemetery to get to Vegas? That makes no fucking sense, dude. Like, that was intentional, so you could take, the south and go to Prim, or, the 95 and go all the way to fucking Prim. Dude, that's intentional.
And groups and world politics than you would if you take any alternative route, and you won't end up in some place where enemies will eat you for breakfast. However, to say that Fallout New Vegas doesn't let you have the freedom of going north from New Vegas, that it forces you south, is quite literally, factually, objectively...
Okay, here we go. That's more coping.
False. Well, I've been on this point.
I think he's mad because maybe somebody commented saying, oh, Fallout 4 is better, and then he had to make this 3-hour video. That would be hilarious if that was actually the case.
Footage of my current playthrough's character using the easy strategy for going north in New Vegas. All it requires for you to do is to trespass in Black Mountain temporarily and not get plastered by the super mutants there, which, as you can see, is very possible, and also...
Yeah, and also very tedious, and you're going to be going through supplies like crazy if you're not careful. Like, dude, it is intentionally designed for you to go down that way without using, too much of your resources if you wanted to play logically. Or, not logically, but if you wanted to play carefully, which in this type of world makes sense for any character you make to do that, unless you're role-playing as a fucking idiot. So, I don't know what to tell you. Either way, there's still setbacks for you getting to New Vegas, regardless of this
makes it very possible to go north in New Vegas if you're willing to...
And yeah, you can do that, but that's only if you're willing to die a lot, if you're playing on the harder difficulties, or you're willing to waste and use a fuck ton of your stim packs
in the effort and do the problem solving. My condolences, by the way, to anyone who was in the camp of people who thought that this was impossible. It's very hard being so fucking wrong. Trust me, I would know. And the additional note I want...
Well, I'm not saying it's, impossible. I've done it once before, but this is the issue, is that it's intentionally, like, those enemies are placed there to make it difficult for you to get there, to that area. As a matter of fact, I may even try doing that on one character at some point, actually. That'd be cool. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong or that they put enemies there, but it's their right. They want you to experience the story, and let's be real, New Vegas has a damn good story. So I don't think it's wrong. Like, the fact he's even defending that, anyone defended that, is just coping. Seriously. Like, we know you can get there, but the issue is that they placed enemies there intentionally so you could experience the story the way they intended for you to experience it. But again, this is proof that you don't have to. So, that's cool. But the problem is that it looks like they placed enemies there, like Cazadors and Scorpions, really, on the stretch to fucking Vegas, like, that gets you to the airport. That is fucking insane to think that, oh yeah, they want you going this way. Why put the most annoying enemy type in that area? It's like they knew that enemy was going to get annoying at some point, and also Cazadors aren't spotted until deeper in the Vegas area, or the New Vegas area. So I
want to make about this game
whatever,
is that if you
dude.
do
I
go
don't
north,
care.
you can get some very choice equipment very early on. This character was level 2 when
the
they got
fact he's even defending this is like,
first
okay,
combat
whatever.
armor and plasma rifle, 2 out of 50, mind you. And you might be asking why I'm saying all of this, and my answer would be that I'm saying all of this not to only clean up the air about other games in the franchise, like New Vegas, because frankly, after this, I don't know how many more Fallout games I want to review.
And now I'm doing that for Fallout 4.
Show
That's
the strengths and the weaknesses of each world in each Fallout game. Now,
yeah, but you're 100% shitting on Fallout 4 unfairly.
For Fallout 4...
And even to the extent, I don't even think he knew the franchise as much as he claimed.
Fallout 4's world is...
Like, I mean, how in the hell can you sit there and say, oh, I don't know why people would want to clean up, don't clean up this irradiated blast or butt-fucked town, because, or this area, because, that doesn't make sense, it's been 200 years. It's like, well, dude, the world's dangerous still. The fact that that's not even taken into account is ridiculous to me.
Almost a complete 180 on both Fallout 3 and New Vegas. In fact, it's more like Skyrim's than anything.
Okay.
Fallout 4's world is a totally unbelievable flat space.
There we go. See, yeah, I want to show the strengths and weaknesses of each world, but nope, let's shit on Fallout 4.
It's a vast...
And then also claim it's not an RPG, even though you're probably playing as yourself and never bothered to make a character outside of yourself, so...
stretches of nothingness that occasionally gets populated by a pack of enemies or a dungeon or a loot cache, and I need that. Fallout 4's world took on after its stepfather.
And again, there's nothing wrong with playing as yourself, actually. And I mean, you can play as different versions as long as you're not making yourself some narcissistic hotshot who sleeps with all the companions, male, whether it be same gender or not.
Skyrim, which also had a world that was nothing but a huge stretch of completely nothing, interrupted by a few bandits or a dungeon filled with bandits. Skyrim was so absolutely massively popular and successful and profitable. It's no surprise that Fallout 4's world seems the exact same. The entire game is just walking from a pack of enemies to a pack of enemies, shooting some completely generic guys with guns or animals, and maybe hitting up a dungeon that's once again nothing but a very big level full of guys with guns and loot. And these dungeons now feel as gamey as they ever have been. In Fallout 3 and New Vegas, like I said, the dungeons had nearly non-existent level design, but they actually felt like real places. They were laid out more like whatever they were trying to be, rather than...
When you say stuff like that, that means the design is so terrible that you can't even tell what the fuck it is. Well, terrible level design... It's not terrible. It's okay. Consider them fucking shooting galleries, if anything. This looks like a store. How is this even terrible world design? Fallout 4 looked much better than this, actually.
Level in a game.
Oh, God.
In Fallout 4,
here we go.
Skyrim,
I'm even falling for this fucking bullshit trap of like, oh, let's shit on the other games. This is why I hate this. And kind of why I kind of refrain from reacting to these, because I end up shitting on one of the games, or...
with an occasional side room that's littered with enemies, which conveniently has an exit at the end, or loops back around to the front. Every single time. Nothing about any of the dungeons...
That saves the player time. What's wrong with that when the game's already 100 hours in? What's wrong with having the player going through an easy way out to save them time? As long as it's sensical... And I don't care what he thinks. I don't care if he's going to say, well, it's not sensical because it's every time this happens. Well, it saves the player time, and Bethesda respects the player's time. They know their games are long. So yes, they probably did this, so they're like, well, we can't have too long dungeons because the game itself is already, a few hours to 100 hours long, so... And also, especially if you're playing on fucking survival mode, too, since you can't fast travel, so...
Then Fallout 4 is believable. All of that was thrown away for a smooth gameplay experience where you walk forward for 20 minutes, shoot some guys, pick up a steak and a missile launcher, and then leave.
That's not all you do. You can convince people and talk people down from things, too, especially during side and quests. Skinny Malone, anyone, Diamond City Blues, and, the older lady, I forget where this location is, but it's one of those settlement locations where you run into an old woman who thinks she was a synth because she mistakenly killed her grandson. So, that's fucking sad.
Dungeon after like more than 100 hours.
Sorry to depress you guys, but welcome to Fallout.
Almost 200 hours of play that I can remember not following this distinction is the Boston Public Library. And the overworld is similar. You walk around for a long time and then shoot some nameless, loreless goobers in their camps to get their supplies to move on to the next camp and do the same thing over and over and over again. However, Fallout 4 also did something bad that's completely unique to itself. It placed enemy packs incredibly, unreasonably closely to each other. You can walk down the streets of Boston and see a raider base around the corner from a super mutant base, and they will never interact in any way, and it doesn't look like either of them ever had. And this happens all...
No, they can. There's random patrols, dude. I've seen it happen, and I always hate it when NPCs take my kills. I do. I've seen it happen. There's been fights, between super mutants and raiders. There are random patrols that just walk, or random NPCs, they'll just, either raider, super mutant or not, they'll walk out and they can end up, spotting each other and, going on a full-on shootout, so...
All the time. The South Boston military checkpoint from earlier is across the street from a raider camp, and neither group moves or does anything. They just exist a couple hundred feet from each other.
Yeah, because they rely on coercion. I don't know if you paid attention, but the raiders rely on threats to get supplies and coercion. And believe it or not, they're a little more strategical than, the game gives them credit for, actually.
Even though they should both want each other dead, for either their loot, or because they both pose a threat to one another, or whatever. And again, this is all over the place. People just exist around certain
Yeah,
death.
it's like, oh, well, they should be killing people. The Raiders should be killing instead of trying to actually live like everyone else.
Every corner, and no one cares. The entirety of Boston is nothing but a bunch of cramped streets where Raider clans and super mutants live side by side, and no conflict or interaction ever arises unless the player does something.
No, dude, no. There are random patrols that do walk around. Don't fucking play this shit. Some of them are scripted, some of them aren't, and some of them just because it's random fucking encounters, dude. You can have a situation where a pack of super mutants and even their dog, the mutant hound, they're walking in a pack, and then one lone raider, in this case one lone dipshit, decides to pick a fight with them. Well, you will see them fight, and if they wander in those territories, they are going to be fighting. I don't understand why you think that the player's the only one to instigate these when your companion also can too, because that also just proves that they just kind of sit around and do nothing. Like, they wouldn't react at all and only to you if that was the case. But that's not.
This series is best when it's believable, and you expect me to believe all these people neighbor one another without so much as an acknowledgement. These aren't camps of living people trying to etch out a living. They're designated combat zones.
That's a bullshit line. They're combat. Yeah, but even designated combat people can still want to live. They use the combat when it's, necessary.
Where the player goes to do some combat,
Fucking
clear out the area,
A.
loot the stuff, then move on to the next area where they do the exact
This
same
segment's more frustrating than the last one.
thing. And new to Fallout 4, but old to Fallout 3, the factions are sometimes, still unbelievably idiotic. I can't explain every instance of it, and not that many compared to Fallout 3 exist, but just know this. The password to the secret underground HQ of one of the 4 major factions is the publicly available name of that faction. Their password is their name.
Yeah,
Additionally,
I agree.
there's a few other small things I'd like to bring up when it comes to the worlds of Fallout 3 and 4 in comparison to New Vegas 1 and 2. Those 2 things are Raiders and Super Mutants. And one other thing, but that's for later. The Super Mutants and Raiders are some of the most commonly encountered enemies in any Fallout.
But I don't know how they're idiotic, though, for having the password their name when the Brotherhood Minutemen don't even know where the fuck they're at. They don't even know where they're at. They later on find out through you, I believe. Yeah, like they had no idea. They just heard about them.
game. Especially the 3D ones. And personally, I don't think Bethesda has been doing them as interestingly as Obsidian.
This just is not an issue. Like, dude, every fucking, faction was idiotic to some degree. And honestly, Fallout 4 suffers. Well, let's see what he says.
In Fallout 3 and 4, all raiders are just generic raiders who all wear the same armor, have no backgrounds or cultures or stories, and exist really
No, I know. The Fiends in New Vegas also were the same way, too. I know.
as just non-specific.
Besides Driver Nephi, Cook, who else? Violet, and the Driver Nephi in Vault 3, I think. Yeah, but the rest don't have any personalities. Most enemy types don't, like the Jackal gangs that you can't even interact with whatsoever. They're just hostile to you for whatever reason. Whatever reasons those may be. Yeah, it's the pot calling the kettle black.
Fit in gun-wielding enemy types that don't really have anything interesting in any way to do or say. Some of the Raider clans do something interesting with their setup, but these gimmicks don't really last long. They lose novelty very, very fast.
Oh, no, they actually have, even if I've heard the conversations that you could overhear the Raiders having, they're still fun to listen to. Actually, it gives them personality, so I don't know why he didn't bring that
In
up.
Fallout 1, 2, and New Vegas,
unless he does.
Raider gangs of the Wasteland are actual gangs with different names and backstories and cultures. Like the Fiends, who are a gang built upon abusing narcotics, or the Powder Gangers, who formed off the remaining...
That's still Raider shit, dude. Like, the Raiders in Fallout 4 are also abusing narcotics. My God.
survivors of a massive hostile takeover of an NCR prison.
Yeah.
Personally, I think making
Yeah, the powder gangers, yeah.
greater gangs have a place in the world.
That's an actual gang with backstory. That's actually interesting, but they still function like raiders, except for the Fiends were probably the worst example he pulled out of his ass, because the only thing we know is that they abuse drugs and attack the NCR and anyone who's willing to go in their territory, as known by you going in there yourself. Or in the Fiend territory yourself, so... it's the same fucking shit. It's the same shit. Fiends are raiders. They're just named differently.
amounts to more than really mean dudes with guns.
And raiders in Fallout 4 are fiends. I don't know.
More interesting than not. And it fits Fallout more than the alternative, considering this entire series' stories have always been about people, their politics, and their struggles. Super mutants in Fallout suffer the same fate. In Fallout 1, 2, and New Vegas, super mutants are actual people. Changed people, different from normal people, but still people. Many of the mutants in these games act like some form of an actual person. They form communities, they follow banners, they have aspirations, and some of them even have motives. Many of them do function as just gun-wielding behemoths who want to rip and tear their way through the wasteland, but many others live in towns, they make friends, and they have ideas. In New Vegas, even, few of the super mutants in that game functioned like the pre-established monsters we've been talking about. Most of them belonged to some kind of a tribe or a community, and their actions towards the player were explained through where they live. For example, the super mutants on Black Mountain are hostile to the player because they follow the doctrine of a dictatorial leader known as Tabitha, who preaches the word of a violent defense, saying the mutants under her command should attack anything that isn't another mutant on their borders because all the humans are here to hurt them in some way. In Fallout 3 and 4, all of the super mutants are mindless killing machines that have no other...
Oh, you just want a reason for them to be mindless killing machines, because the end result's still the same.
...personality than screaming...
It doesn't matter if Tabitha is screaming, oh, you know, whatever the hell it is, you know, amping up the mutants. But the fact that they still attack you like rabid mutants, it's the same end result. It's just you want a reason for it.
...wanting to destroy stuff. This is explained in universe...
Which, going by your logic, is quite lazy, man.
...by a nonsensical
like,
share...
oh, well, it's the same problem, but let's actually give a reason to the problem instead of actually giving a solution to it. Which makes this whole critique... I just, dude,
of
really...
a highly top-secret military project known as the Forced Evolutionary Virus to groups that aren't associated with the military in any direct way. But even if it has an in-lore explanation, it's still less interesting than the previous games. In fact,
of course, anything Bethesda's made so far to you is less interesting.
But their mindlessness takes new
He's
height.
been more lenient to 3 than he has 4.
It's to the point where it's just completely silly. Apparently, this strain of mutants is so bloodthirsty that they don't even care about preserving their own life and have created soldiers whose job it is to run at the player with a mini-nuke strapped to their arm in an attempt to suicide bomb anything that comes within range. For all intents and purposes, these may as well be ogres now because they are certainly no longer super.
I mean, as a matter of fact, there's even a reason why there's mutants in Fallout 4.
Mutants.
Yes,
and one last, very personal, subjective question. What happened to the Gothic...
This whole thing's subjective, man.
Architecture in the old world cities. One of the artistic staples of old world buildings in the original Fallout games was that everything was built with this very creepy Art Deco Gothic mix, with lots of statues and busts and heads built into the side of buildings and on street corners and the like. And I thought it was really damn cool because in the post-war environments of the game they were creepy and foreboding. It was like everything was staring at you. Fallout 3 understood this amazingly well, better than any of the other 3D games, and the city of DC looks like it belongs right next to old world ruins in the original games, but Fallout 4 and New Vegas have more generic flat buildings. 4 in particular has like a few busts and lions lying around, but for the most part, every part of Boston is either a massive tower with colored panels on the outside or old world colonial architecture.
Are you fucking kidding me? Why does the different locations and how they're designed matter? Like, this is state-based, since, you know, I'm from the US and I assume Caption is too. Why would you assume... Or why would you not assume, but why would you say that you liked how one area looked from a previous game or location, and then complain about, oh, well, the sequel's location in this state is different, and there's not very much, you know, to see? What argument is this? You're just... to me, this looks like you don't even know what the fuck you're playing, because every location has changed. So yes, you're going to get locations that don't fit your eye candy. I'm sorry.
I don't know, man. I wish my Gothic architecture was there. I miss it.
Yeah, it's a fucking different location, bro. Come on, man. It's a different fucking state.
Won't you listen, my dear brother, for it's time for us to gather. God is getting mighty angry for the sinful things we've done.
He's really hammering home the fucking dog meat, the essential companions.
land, and this I cannot understand. The weapon of destruction
But is totally fine reloading a save.
to destroy its everyone.
Whatever.
When that hell bomb falls, when that hell bomb falls, they'll be screaming, dying, praying. When that hell bomb
I'm gonna get a copyright strike again.
As we continue to explore the fathoms of Kellogg's mind, we end up in a memory of his where we witness an Institute agent taking a child who we believe to be Sean, if a bit older now than we expected, to their compound. Turns out they use teleportation, which makes sense since no one on the surface has yet to find a way into the Institute itself. We find Nick again and explain the new information to him. Inside of this memory, we also learn about a scientist named Virgil, who left the Institute and can help us get into it. He's our only hope, but he lives in a highly irradiated and dangerous area known as the Glowing Sea, which is the epicenter of one of the bombs that hit Massachusetts.
Yeah, I'm an AI, but I'm here to talk apps. Real apps you can build in
Wow.
minutes with Base
I actually
44.
thought that was a
This
real
finance
annoying
app
looking
solves
person.
your business headache.
Give me
I'll
a
say this much about
annoying
the-
ass ad. Anywho.
Glowing Sea, I think it's a pretty cool place. It looks cool, it's fun to just walk around in, and it's really the only place that has an excuse for being as destroyed and untouched as the rest of the world. Though it's very clearly more destroyed than anywhere else in the wasteland. There isn't very much to say about it, so we'll just skip to its
So
hot.
why bitch and complain about the other outside of the glowing sea? Because it's the fuck, like, dude, the nukes are the fucking shadow of what happened. Like, the destroyed buildings are shadows or echoes of ghosts of what happened before or during the Great War, you know. That's how nukes work. You don't, like, they cause fucking catastrophe. I mean, have you not seen the images of the aftermath of Hiroshima? Jesus.
There's a detachment of the children of Adam.
And it's funny, he complains about that, how, oh, it's not realistic, when I don't think people have cleaned up Hiroshima. That's kind of hilarious.
Which we will promptly be ignoring, and towards the end of the entire trek we find Virgil's cave house. Virgil says he'll help us get into the Institute if we can bring him back his serum that he claims can reverse the process that creates supermutants. Not even gonna acknowledge that. And explains to us that if we want to get into the Institute, we need to kill a special Institute agent known as a Courser. Because they too have a chip in their brains that will let us teleport to the Institute, so our plan at the moment is to just find one of those. We've gone through a lot of negativity again, with very little to break it up, so here's something nice. The voice acting in Fallout 4 is better than Fallout 3
And
or
the
New
way
Vegas.
he's dropping these, like, positive notes on Fallout 4 is a little sus to me. It's like, alright, you know, we've been talking about the negative, so here's something nice. Here you go. It's like, dude, you don't like the game. It's very evident. You don't even pay attention to the type of world you're in, and it's pretty clear. You literally bitched at Bethesda and instantly blamed them for the whole, you know, ghoul in the fridge thing, fucking up the ghoul lore. Even though the funny thing is, he claimed during that segment that they fucked with the lore, but he only pulled out 2 examples. Oh no, he also pulled out the power armor. Like, who gives a shit, really? I mean, it's a suit of fucking armor that was made by somebody militant or not. It doesn't matter, because we will never meet the founder of the power armor. I mean, if we were able to talk to the founder of the power armor, or the person who makes them, that would be one thing, but that is not the case. And I don't know, man. I view Fallout as a series that was fucked from the start, to be honest. Kind of. Because there was no established lore. So, I mean, this section really kind of annoyed me, as you guys know. So. Anywho, that's me. We'll react to the other one when I get around to it, or the other half, which should probably finish off the video. And I may compile all these. I don't know. But, yeah. So, what are your guys' thoughts on Fallout 4 in this video? Do you think Mr. Caption's No Todds, No Masters holds up even to this day? If so, explain why. And, you know, at the end of the day, if you don't like Fallout 4, I really don't care. If you hate it, I don't care. It's your life, not mine. I can't tell you what to do. So, without further ado, that's me, Sacred G. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace the fuck out and have a good one. Goodbye.